There's current debate as to whether one should tune on the strike or on the sustain. Here we have a Yamaha GC1, a baby grand. On some instruments it doesn't matter. I don't consciously necessarily tune on sustain or the strike. Normally I tune on the sustain, but with this meter here we can see on this note the way in which the strike is sharper than the sustain. So I'm not going to know really until I've tuned the instrument, I get the feel for how it sounds, as to whether I should be tuning it on, getting that right, or waiting for the sustain. But this is an analog meter, and you can see that wobble. As soon as I press the note, it's giving us real-time information. And the note is stable for probably half a second. And because this is analog and it's real time, this is good enough without any special electronic processing to be able to tune on the strike. And I think I'm likely to be tuning this on the strike and let the sustain look after itself, but it's a case of listening to it and making a judgment. Every piano is different. It's like meeting a new friend, as is tuning here in different places. Now, that's very interesting because there's no difference between the sustain and the strike. So it's unreliable. What I have realized is that if one's going to go for a quick tuning, taking say 50 minutes for a tuning, then one's going to be moving on string by string by string fairly fast. So one's going to take an initial impression upon the strike, or an initial reading on the strike, and not necessarily hang around and wait for it to sustain. This might be why fast tunings can be, not always, but can be remarkably good, and why taking one's time, allowing 1.5 hours, 2 hours for concert tuning, as sometimes I do, might not necessarily produce the best results. But certainly when one's tuning fast, one's going to be tuning on the strike rather than the sustain, more or less unavoidably. You know, you just have to discipline yourself. It's like running a marathon, string after string. Yes, that's there, that's there, that's there. So naturally, on a fast tuning, one's going to be tuning on the strike. I'm tuning this note at the moment, and I'm just tuning the unison, and it's quite fun because on this rather oscilloscope-like meter, you can hear that. Oh, 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 oh. You can actually see the waveform breaking up because of the harmonic running through, because it's not in tune. And here we're complicated by the duplex scale, which is hideously untuned. And so one has to separate out what is untuned by the duplex scale and what is out of tune with those unisons. So that first harmonic there. So inevitably one tends to tune the unisons on the sustain rather than the attack. And I think that the attack is actually reasonably irrelevant, because the strings force vibrations together, and as a result the attack becomes more controlled as one begins to tune the rest of the instrument together. So I think it's the sustain which is actually the relevant thing to tune to. But you have to listen. It's not a matter of just looking at a machine. It's a combination of listening to one's ears, listening to using one's ears to listen to the instrument, and seeing how it behaves. This is on not an organic instrument. It's a collection of analog vibrators, and we have to get them working together in the right way. That's not able to be done by a specific formula.